Okay, we are absolutely live. Very, very nice. Hey everybody. Let me just start my other recorder here, so I can upload that to Facebook later. Okay, so today, just wanted to get my hands on some, news of the morning kind of thing. Just woke up a little extra early. I'm going to be interviewing John Perkins for the Economic Hitman later, so that's good. And I thought I'd just read you guys out a bit of news. So let me see. I'll just make sure that this has indeed started and everything. Yeah, it's live. Cool beans. Right, morning. So we've got Michelle McKinney, Marie T, Mr. Fruitarian. Hi, everybody. I don't know how you guys are actually listening to this stream, so if you could post the link to it in the little thing here. Oh, wait, here it is. There's a little share McThingy. I'm going to totally share it on Facebook, man. I'll just get all my Facebookers out here on your timeline. Yes, please. Hey, everyone. I'm reading the news. Yeah. And I want to share it to my page as well. Not just my timeline. Yeah, because this is one of the things about when you're streaming or doing whatever. There's always frickin' bazillions of things that you got to do, and it's like, I got to do them all at once. All right, posting to Facebook, and then we are ready to go. Now, bit of New Zealand news today. The worst party in the country's frickin' history, which would be, of course, the National Party, has had their leader, for the second time in 2 years, step down. The first one was John Key, and he was a Wall Street banker. He got us into $100 billion in debt, maybe $200 billion in debt. This is a country of 4 million people, mind you. And I think like 3 terms. All right, the New Zealand public, just absolute sheep, just go vote this guy again and again and again. Selfish, moronic, just the least developed cerebral cortexes I've ever freaking seen. But the one thing I wanted to actually do here is make sure that you guys' comments and stuff are visible while we're actually streaming, because, everybody needs to feed their narcissism, especially me. Now, here we go. We go back to the article here. And I believe it's got a little video for us, and I'm going to stop it and make sure that it's playing well. Can we...
polls for whoever the next leader is, when they should look at whether or not they stick it through.
Well, I think we've seen it in the past with the Labour Party, haven't we? Once things start getting under 35%, people start saying, what can we win? And I know that I am putting a mark up there, which at some stage in the future, if I am successful...
Okay. This is Judith Collins. She wants to be the next head of the National Party. Okay, now, what she's involved in is broad-scale corruption. Okay, like there was a whole big dairy scam kind of thing that was going on where her husband, like with government help, managed to acquire a whole bunch of dairy farms or something like that. And she got stood down as an MP because of her corruption. But just like everything else that happens with New Zealand in regard to any kind of government corruption, whether that be police or local council or central government, she wound up coming back to the job with no punishment whatsoever, really. Just a little stand-down period. Oh, aren't you naughty? Go stand in the corner, I mean, so what if you destroyed the lives of, 100 New Zealand farmers or something like that and made 15 of them commit suicide? I'm just making that up, by the way, but that's the same thing. Like, look at the face. Just the...
this time, that people will say, well, you set that mark. Yeah, let me set that mark.
Yeah, she's saying, oh, if we don't get up to 35% or whatever, I'm not gonna be the leader anymore. Okay, as if that's like, I'm so brave or whatever, but really it's just, look at the psychopath face, and you go, I'm gonna quit if we get under 35% because it means that I won't be able to win and have the amount of power that I want. Just this is my analysis. Again, I'm just making it up.
That's pretty gutsy.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to do better than Bill English would in
Yes, I can.
2020?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he has
this not the
some great
boringest?
abilities, and I don't want to denigrate in any way his legacy.
Ugh.
But I do know.
Bill English's legacy? Oh my god. I mean, seriously, we're talking about a guy who has the charm of a gravel road that is dragging on your face, alright? I don't want to denigrate his legacy. Fuck his legacy.
That coming into opposition, I know how tough it is, and I also know that you need a very decisive and strong leader. And I also know that you need to be able to reach out to other parties, no matter what. Is that
God, it just bores me. It just bores me. I don't care. Like, look, there's a couple of people that are running for this leadership competition right now, and they're all psychopaths. All right, they're all psychopaths. Like this guy right here, Simon Bridges, age 41, says he represents a mixed generational change and experience. No, he represents psychopathy, which is, as you might know, something that is almost a requirement of the gig. Alright? It's just, are you a psychopath? Yeah. Well, you can contest the leadership then, I guess. These people are horrible. It just makes me want to stab myself in my face. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way whenever you hear the leader of a political party speak, that you just want to access the nearest at hand Phillips head screwdriver to just jam it into your ears to make it stop, but it just won't stop. God. I hate them so much, and I love to make fun of them though. This is so good. Let me see what bullshit the political editor Audrey Young, who was about as credible as, in fact, she's like me. She's absolutely incredible. You know, just can't be given any credit. National's 3 leadership contenders have begun an intense lobbying campaign and in a leadership battle that could go down to the wire over 2 weeks. It's like, we keep that excitement up. New leaders of political parties that are all psychopaths. I mean, it's going to be so fucking different. It looks set to become a 2-horse race between Simon Bridges, who sees himself as the candidate of generational change, and Amy Adams, whose supporters describe as a woman of substance. Probably because she frickin' helps to make sure that all the substances, whatever you bring to the party, go up her nose. Right? She looks like a cokehead, bro. Right? This might be one of the least professional live streams I've ever done. And I think it's absolutely appropriate considering the subject matter, because it's just superfluous. It doesn't matter. Okay? Like, these people don't matter. They all do the exact same thing. And that thing is scumbaggery. Alright? They've got scumbaggery down. Right? But veteran scrapper Judith Collins, now her nickname is Crusher Collins, and I'll see if I've got actually the Crusher. Here we are. See, this is Crusher Collins, mate. Used to be like the Justice Minister or something like that. And this is in reference to her husband getting a nice, beautiful bunch of farmland and things like that on the taxpayer, right? She gets removed by Parliament and now she's back on. She's a veteran scrapper, is she? No, she's, again, a frickin' psychopath. Is also fighting fit and has vowed to hang on in the race even if it looks as though she won't get enough support from colleagues. This is their chance, she said. Oh my god. It just makes me feel sick. I'm going to go to the next article, bro. It's seriously, I just can't freaking handle it. It's just so horrible. I mean, to know what you're looking at is not good. Okay? If anybody tells you that knowledge won't cost you anything, they're lying. Alright? Knowledge will cost you everything that you hold dear. Okay, so if you're watching this and you think, yeah, oh, it's just going to be fun and entertaining or whatever, no, it's going to be horrible. You're not going to like your life afterwards. You're going to be sad. All right? Especially if you think that lame jokes aren't entertaining. Winston Peters, critics should look at the CPTPP with an open mind. Now, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I voted for this Winston Peters guy once upon a time, and he's like an opposition party, and he's always talking about bloody mass surveillance and such and blah, blah, blah. You'd think he was anti-globalist, but now he's like full on behind this new globalism trade deal, the CPTPP. Try coming up with a protest chants for that, you know? Like the old one was TPP, no way, CPTPP. You see? And this is what they do. They'll come up with a deal that's very difficult to make a chart to. And then that deal will get scuttled because people actually know what's up, right? And what will happen then is you go, okay, all right. How about we just rename it and make it even harder and then just push it with a completely different government and so that way people won't think that they're globalist scumbags, slimebags anyway. How about that? You give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I just have a curtain to close here. I was wondering why my green screen wasn't working properly. There we go. That's better. Sorry about that. Now, let's have a look at this video here. And we'll see if I can frickin' stand it.
We've had an update overnight that all parties have said that they are in agreement now with the CPTPP as it stands, and that it looks likely that the signing at the beginning of March in Chile is likely to go ahead. Obviously there have been bumps in the road along the way with this agreement, so we wouldn't want to get ahead of ourselves and where the agreement stands now.
Little smiles.
A step towards the finalisation of that agreement.
What conversations have you had? What conversations have you had? Sorry, with Justin Trudeau, and as opposed to try and get this over the line.
Yeah, so I did speak with Prime Minister Trudeau last week, and that was around one very specific part of the agreement. Canada had said that one of the stumbling block for them was seeking support for their cultural exception. As you'll know, New Zealand has a cultural exception. It's something that we've fought for in our trade agreements. And we are one of the countries, perhaps the only one who had supported Canada throughout for their cultural exception. So
Not
all I had was
saying anything.
to offer
Boring.
Our support for that,
Boring.
And to offer any assistance we could to guarantee that cultural exception for Canada too.
Blah, 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 cultural exception, blah, 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 cultural exception. And just talking for ages and saying nothing. I mean, is this what politics has become? Like I haven't followed it in years. Maybe nearly a decade, pretty much. I haven't watched television or listened to the radio or read these articles and things like that without just ripping them to pieces as we go. And I've become incapable of actually allowing, this kind of stuff to pass through my brain. It hurts me in my brain places, ladies and gentlemen, to even listen to a politician speak, because I'm used to having these things called conversations, all right, where one person is talking and the other person is listening, and then the other person gets a chance to talk, okay? But it's not happening when you're listening to politicians at all, is it? You're not really actually part of a conversation. What you're part of is a sales spiel. Hi, Texas Norton's NZ. Morning, son. Yeah. Now, I also want to thank everybody else as well for watching. And if you're unfamiliar with me, it's thevinnieeastwoodshow.com is the place where you can go to donate, sign up, that kind of thing. Subscribe to the channel if you can. But I just want to roll through this article here because it's going on about how the new TPPA is somehow going to be good for everybody, For some critics, all trade deals are the same and should be opposed as a point of principle. Now, that's not necessarily true. It's just that every single trade deal thus far in the entire history of the earth has been a globalist one and has weakened national sovereignty, destroyed local economies, and siphoned all that money off into massive internationalist corporations who don't care about borders or freedoms or economic prosperity for other people in any way. Okay, that's what happens and has happened every single time there's been a trade deal. Every single time. Okay? I'm not making it up. Professor Jane Kelsey disappointingly writes that way, most recently of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Progressive. You know what progressive means, ladies and gentlemen? During the McCarthy era in the 1970s, the Communist Party got outlawed in America. So what did they do? They changed their name to the Progressive Party. So whenever you see the word progressive, it means communist. Okay, now, this is what communist means in the globalist context. Central bank is going to control all your currency. A central world government is going to control all your life. And that's the end of the frickin' story. You ain't got no freedoms. You ain't got no nothing. You just do what you're told. Give us the nation's money supply and I care not who makes its laws, as Mayor Amschel Rothschild used to say. Kelsey's position is hard to understand. Is it really? That there's bad trade deals out there, you know. I mean, she's only a university law professor who's been talking about trade deals for the last decade. I mean, what would she know? This coalition government made clear that it would seek a fairer deal for New Zealanders than the TPP. Oh, a fairer deal, which means, oh, you only get 90% enslavement instead of 100% enslavement. Oh, we're so progressive. And has worked hard to negotiate changes to the agreement that address the concerns New Zealanders raised. Really, do you make any freaking, shall we say, elucidation on what those things might be? No, I didn't frickin' think so. Oh, we're just going to make it better. What do you mean? In what way? You know, it's just going to be better. Yeah. Okay. You're a pretty young Prime Minister, eh? And this is supposed to like just put me at ease. Oh, she's pretty and she's young and she's got teeth like a horse. I just can't argue with that. The new CPTPP agreement retains all of the market access improvements from TPP. There are no market access improvements from a TPP. I mean, it's just a straight line. Okay, that's what these people do in their articles, bro. They just frickin' lie to you, bro. That will benefit New Zealand firms, large and small. No, they frickin' lie. In fact, it'll only destroy all the New Zealand firms, large and small. Okay? That's what these trade deals frickin' do. I haven't even read this trade deal. And I know already that that's what it is. How do I know that? Because there's this thing called history, where you look back at all the trade deals and every single thing that we've ever done, and they all do the exact same frickin' thing, and you can see history repeating itself and repeating itself and repeating itself, and you can I hate knowing history sometimes because it means that very few times do I see something new. All right, I don't get surprised very often. I get kind of like, yep. You know that depressed sort of feeling you get when it's difficult to get out of bed, or you go kind of limp and miserable. That's sort of like what it is, to know what it is you're frickin' talking about, and I think that's why the large majority of journalists, especially those in New Zealand, don't know what they're talking about, just so that they can have fun, you know? We have 620,000 New Zealand jobs depending on exports, and this new agreement sustains those jobs, not least across our regions. Really? You got any effing evidence to back that up? You don't? Oh, what a surprise! Just a blanket statement with absolutely no evidence to back it up. I mean, I could have sworn I was reading the mainstream media. We have done away with the TPP's 20-year extension to New Zealand's copyright term, put an end to the imposition by TPP of additional costs for our medicine buying agency Pharmac, and removed limitations on our flexibility to change our intellectual property words. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't mean anything. All right. It means that, you're not going to be enslaved today, but you'll be enslaved 20 years from now, and you can't get out of the agreement, and you won't even be able to read the agreement until after it's already signed and put into action, Maybe 4 years after it's signed or something like that last time I heard. So basically, here's what they mean by this. Okay, I'm going to show you how to translate correctly how to frickin' read an article. Alright, we have done away with the TPP's 20-year extension to New Zealand's copyright term, which basically means in 20 years' time we'll have really, really horrific copyright laws, alright, that basically make major entertainment corporations and things like that the sole power base of all copyright holdings. And if you disagree with them, they'll take you to an international corporate court, which they own, and we have to pay for the lawyers and judges and things like that to be on that international corporate court. A corporate court, mind you, that has a track record of never losing to a government. Alright, you should have seen what happened when Australia went to them. They go, hey, tobacco companies, we want to change your labels and things like that so that there's no proper labels on any of the tobacco or anything like that. Tobacco companies go, okay, sure, you're the lawmakers in a sovereign country, you can make whatever laws you like. But we've got an international court that is there to serve us. So we're going to charge you basically $50 million to get nowhere over 10 years. Okay, and that case is still ain't over as far as I know. Put an end to the imposition of TPP of additional costs for our medicine buying agency Pharmac. Okay, now here's what this means. Hey, cannabis is still going to be illegal so that you can't grow your own medicine, but the incredibly prohibitively expensive drugs that get made by international pharmaceutical companies, we'll still subsidise those, even though they kill you, addict you, and destroy society. Yay! Oh, the TPP is so nice. And remove limitations on our flexibility to change our intellectual property laws. Okay, now what that means is you're going to get strangled in red tape forever. Okay? It means whatever idea you come up with, somebody can steal it and you can't do nothing about it. Alright? See, that's how you translate this kind of thing. You take what's there and then you magnify 10 times worse than you could possibly imagine. Alright? And if you can imagine maybe 10 times worse or something, imagine like 100 times worse, 1,000 times worse, something like that. And these are only the things that they're telling you that they've changed about it. Goodness knows what they're not telling you that they haven't changed, you know what I'm saying? Importantly, the new agreement also narrows the scope for investors to successfully sue the New Zealand government. It narrows the scope, i.e. there's still a scope there that if we interfere with corporate profits that haven't even existed yet, they can then take us to their international court that they own and never lose at, that we'll be in forever. Okay? Kelsey suggests, and this is Professor Jane Kelsey, by the way, Investor State Dispute Settlement, ISDS, is unchanged from the original text of the agreement. What did I say? It's only some peripheral enforcement options that have been suspended, she continues. That is not correct. Right. To be specific, the scope of the former TPP investment chapter has been narrowed. See, I love it how they use this meaningless language. Okay? They don't use the word shit, or fuck, or cunt, or anything to describe these things. Alright? But they go on with these really horrifically boring, just shoot me now, just stab me in the face kind of language. And it just pisses me off to no end. And look at how long this article is. We're going to get through it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try it. This means under CPTPP, claims are no longer permitted in relation to investment contracts and approvals. What does that even mean? You don't know. And that's the idea. To just confuse you. Okay? If you could sum up this entire, paragraph in a single sentence, or a single word even. The word is scumbaggery. Or perhaps lies. Or perhaps manipulation. All right, so manipulating the language in order to make people think that something that's really bad is going to destroy the country and help to amalgamate us into a globalist government is a good thing. There is no honest way to do this, because you can't tell people that, hey, you're going to be under a globalist government as soon as you sign this deal to a large degree, and it'll be an official global government not long after that. Okay? As a result, private companies that enter into an investment contract with the government will not be able to use ISDS clauses under CPTPP if there is a dispute about that contract. Really? And that's assuming they enter into an investment contract with the government. They don't have to do that. And the real problem with the ISDS clauses, this is the international scumbaggery dick suckers. I think that's what the letters stand for. But the thing is, you don't actually have to do an investment with the government. Oh, if you do an investment, you can't go. But here's the thing: if the government passes a law, any law, that will mess with your profits, for instance, you can then sue the government. All right? Let's say they make put an extra % of tax onto alcohol or something like that. The booze companies can then sue New Zealand for, lost profits. Or if the government decides that no, we're gonna buy back our strategic infrastructure that's been continually sold off by globalist prime ministers over the last 30 years. They go, no, sorry, that's gonna mess with our profit margins. We're gonna have to take you to the court. The reconfirmation of the treaty status aside letter with Australia effectively carves out 80% of CPTPP investors from being SIP-TIP. Yeah, the SIP-TIP. It's kind of like, you've got like a cock and, it's just the SIP-TIP. That's what it is. If you, do you support the SIP-TIP, ladies and gentlemen? Investors from being able to use ISDS against government. That further reduces the risk to the government of being successfully sued. Further reduces the risk. It's going to be so safe. And it's not just cunning BS language that we're using to put your mind at ease while we gradually fuck your asshole. And negotiations are ongoing to secure more side letters with several other SIP-TIP countries. I love the new name actually now. It's better than TPPA, the tipper. And now it's the SIP-TIP. This government understands the need to protect the New Zealand way of life. You mean our sovereignty, our independence, our, our giant economic exclusion zone and all of these things, the New Zealand way of life. Dude, the New Zealand way of life is not entirely dissimilar from any other way of life. We get brainwashed by television, read trash news, we drink alcohol, and watch sport. End of discussion. That's just what we do. And it's very similar to every single else. You go to Americans and you go, hey bro, do you spend most of your time being entertained or drunk or listening to trash news or watching pointless sport? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, mate, we've got more in common than we think. And that's because it's one global society. I don't care. This government doesn't care about the New Zealand way of life. If they did, they wouldn't be signing trade deals that ensure its destruction. Okay? Follow the logic there. The changes negotiated in the agreement mean the government will not face the same level of risk, which means the risk could either be worse or it could be even slightly less, of being successfully sued by an investor in the comprehensive and progressive TPP as it did under the old agreement. And I love it how they've turned it into this. Alright, so let me just translate again. Comprehensive and progressive TPP. SIP-TIP. Alright, now the thing about this SIP-TIP is, other than slipping on the knob of the international corporation, basically, comprehensive, it means it includes everything that you will live by. Progressive means communist. And TPP means global government. Okay? So it's an all-encompassing communist global government deal. That's what it is. Does it make a whole lot of sense now? I'm just surprised myself by that translation, as it did under the old agreement. Furthermore, decisions made under the Overseas Investment Act are not subject to investor-state dispute resolution. See, now, what does that even mean? All right, now, journalism is supposed to do something like putting things into context. Let's just see if we've got my journalism slide here. There we are. There we are. What is journalism? I love this. I love this slide because when I first read it, it was before I even knew that I was a journalist. Reporting of an event, speech, policy, case, research, or extraordinary event in the bizarre. Right, fair enough. Good journalism provides equal opportunity for all sides, provides analysis, context. Okay? Context. That is the puppy that you want. So when, and meaning to the readers. Alright, so when you've got, furthermore, decisions made under the Overseas Investment Act are not subject to investor-state dispute resolution. Does that put it into context or meaning for you? Or is it just a whole bunch of word salad? It is, isn't it? And that's how they get you, ladies and gentlemen. They kind of baffle you with words, just like a cult leader. They'll tell you a whole bunch of things, and you'll be so enamored by it that you won't know what the hell you're doing. Contrary to the previous government's demand for New Zealanders to put international trade before domestic concerns, New Zealanders should not and do not need to fight for their right to control who owns our land and homes. Well, we already are fighting for who controls our land and our homes, ladies and gentlemen, aren't we? Because we have this thing called Chinese infiltration of New Zealand. Oh, I didn't even put a title on this before I went live. Articles covered. There we go. We'll put that one in there. Now, we have one more, I think. One more article to go through, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're done for today's live stream. Let me see, where are your comments? Where are your comments? Fuck, that's sad. Yeah, it is sad. Now, what, Vinny, have you heard from David Andrew Christensen? All his court dockets are scrubbed. I don't remember who or know who that is. Our corrupt politicians need to watch your show and learn the word honesty. Not much. Yeah, Brian, they're not going to watch it. And if they do, they'll do precisely what I do when I'm watching mainstream media. They'll go, oh, that's all bullshit, and okay, the difference being that I'm telling the truth and know what I'm talking about, and they're full of lies and have no idea what they're talking about. Most of these people don't even know the scumbaggery trap that they're in. Alright, now I believe this is probably the exact same video. This is our Prime Sinister. Oh, God. Let me see if I've got the corporate horse there. There we are. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Vote Labour, the corporate horse. Okay? This is the woman that is going to take this country down and be so progressive about it, communist about it, if you say. Now, have I got something inherently against the left or inherently against the right? No, I don't give a fuck. I think they're both crazy. Okay, so basically, TPPA, I wonder if I have... This is Jane Kelsey, the woman who's been commentating on this stuff. These are photos I've taken myself at protests and things like that. I remember that day, that was cool. But what I'm looking for specifically is the little TPPA horse picture, I think. There was, I believe, a nice wee... There we are. So here we go. We've got corporate power. It's a Trojan horse. All right. So once you let it in your gates, once it's signed, implemented into law, all of the Greeks will jump out of the horse and start massacring the civilians. Okay. Now, you may not understand the context of this, but it goes back to the EEC, the European Economic Community, which basically was a TPPA for Europe. All right, so TPPA in between the European countries that later morphed into the EU, which now has more red tape than you can shake a stick at, and is destroying a lot of EU countries' economies and consolidating power into a centralised point. You know, that's what these trade deals are designed to do. It's not just what they do, it's what they're designed to do. And the same companies that will benefit from these kind of trade deals are the exact same companies who will tell you that, hey, these things are going to be good for you. We've removed all of the bad clauses. Barry Coates, games under TPP not worth risks to democracy. How do I know the name Barry Coates? Is it on my Fashbook? Barry Coates. Oh my god, he is... Ah! I know this guy. Yep. He's the person who wouldn't answer me when I asked him whether or not the Green Party would swear to not sign any globalist agreements or anything that threatens New Zealand's sovereignty ever again. That's Barry Coates, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I remembered. Good decisions require sound analysis. This is especially the case with trade agreements that are complex and far-reaching. Debates over the Trans-Pacific Partnership have been short on facts and long on ideology. That's because it's a sales pitch. Okay? We're not entering into a contract, we're entering into a scam. Right? The government needs to front up on the costs and benefits of TPP 11 before it signs. TPP 11, or is it TPP 2? I don't understand the reference here. Like, were there 10 other TPPs before? Like, is this the 10th? Was the last one the 10th TPP? I don't know. Amongst all the words written about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, dubbed the TPP 11 after the US pulled out. Oh, because there's now 11 countries instead of 12. That makes some sense now. There has been little analysis of the costs and benefits. Most of the rhetoric has been about vague notions of whether so-called free trade is good or bad, but not about the merits of this treaty. By the way, free trade is a smokescreen. Okay, so what you do is you go, free trade, this, that, or the other. You create some kind of loaded term whereby anybody who opposes it is rendered obviously an evil frickin' isolationist communist scumbag of some description, right? So you go, okay, well free trade must be good because it's got the word free in it. You're not against things being free, are you? What does it actually mean? Okay, free trade, this is what it means. You have a global government that is owned by bankers who own everything, including your ass. And they get to do whatever they want. That's what free trade means. Okay, in a nutshell. You know, I'm not putting it too far down the totem pole in terms of importance, but this is pretty important, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this is the end of sovereignty, the beginning of global government. That's what they are. Full stop, comma, comma, roll off. That's the end of the article. Okay? And I feel that what the problem is people don't have any idea what that means. Okay? They don't know what the end of sovereignty is. They don't know what the start of a global government means. I know what it means. It means the end of freedom. It means the end of the human race. Okay? As Nobel Prize winning economist Joseph Stiglitz pointed out, the benefits from trade agreements are grossly exaggerated. No, they're not exaggerated. They're deceptive lies. They just go, ha 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 ha, no. Right? Understand something. Again, it's not a deal, it's a scam. Okay, how do you know it's a scam? Well, scammers don't really allow you to put proper scrutiny on what it is that they're scamming you with. Okay? Proper scrutiny is especially important because treaties are no longer just about tariffs and quotas. They include restrictions on government laws and policies that will affect New Zealanders. Not only restrictions, they basically get to dictate our laws now. Alright, so, what's the worst that can happen with corporations owning the government? Wait a second, what's the definition of fascism again? When the corporations become the and what's the definition of socialism again? National socialism, Nazis are fascists and stuff like that. Oh, communism. Oh, okay. Well, see, there you go. Progressive equals communist. Fascist equals communist. International free trade equals communist. Do you understand the paradigm now? We've got the fascist right-wing party, these National Party scumbags. And then you've got the communist left-wing party, which are these Labour Party scumbags. Okay? And what they do is they work together. They both are inherently on the same side, and if you vote for one, you will get the other. And if you vote for the other, you'll get the one. Alright? They also allow foreign corporations to sue our government using investor-state dispute settlements. And I love it how they bark up this language here, investor-state dispute settlement, as if you couldn't translate that. Now, investor means corporate scumbag, state meaning enslaved bunch of people with their birth certificates, dispute means you got scammed, and settlement means you get scammed again. Okay? That's investor-state dispute settlement in a nutshell. Alright? That's the ISDAs. That's the ISDAs, bro. There has been widespread public distrust over the fundamentals of the TPP, and a majority of New Zealanders opposed the deal in February 2016. Yeah, I know they did, but it doesn't fucking matter, because they go, hey, we've been trying to push this for like nearly 10 years under John Key, and we already got it passed through the New Zealand Parliament so it can be implemented regardless. But we just need everybody else in the entire world to agree to this enslavement deal to create the Oceanic Union, or at least the framework for it at first, where the corporations will own everything and control everything, and everybody else will be, bro. There's just no way out of it. Okay, this is the contract clauses. Hey, do you want to be an enslaved piece of crap, little country in the bottom of the frickin' world that nobody really cares about or knows how to get to? Yeah, oh sweet ass, bro. We've got the trade deal for you. Now, the flag scandal was used as a distraction of what was really going on at the time. Yep. Well. What's interesting is that there's also lots of distractions that'll happen every single time. So, interestingly enough, even though this is written by a Green person who's significantly against the TPPA in its current form and previous forms, in fact, and as I've marched on many things with them, but do they let me speak at any of these marches, ladies and gentlemen? No, they don't. Do any of the people speaking at those marches talk about a world government being set up with a trade deal as the pretext? No, they don't. Do any of them tell you that exactly the same thing from the most major parties will all confirm that a big trade deal, regardless of how bad it is for the country, will get signed regardless of whichever person's in government? No, they won't. And will they let me get up and say that at the protests? No. They won't. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because these people are all inherently communist, socialist, fascist pieces of trash, right? And they don't want truth, ladies and gentlemen. They don't want truth. You want truth, which is good. You know, you've woken up. You've actually gotten to this point where you go, oh, look, there's actually something worth knowing. Rather than just listening and letting everybody else tell you what to do with your life. You know, good on you, folks. That's not actually an easy step to take. I know it's been very, very hard. And I know that you've lost a lot of friends. And I know that your family gives you shit about it all the time. And I know that you get trolled online whenever you speak the truth. The fact that you keep doing it is something you should be proud of yourself. You've done something that none of these people in all their positions of power and scumbaggery could ever accomplish. You became free in your mind. Our Prime Minister has called the ISDS provisions a dog, and the Trade Minister opposes them in future agreements. But the government wants to sign TPP2 anyway, because they consider the gains for agricultural exports are worth it. This needs closer examination. Alright, because again, what they've done is they've covered a vague benefit with no evidence. And then they expect everybody to just swallow it. Alright, now, Barry's not a complete idiot. You know, he's opposed to the TPP even in its new form. Oh, Optimum Performance sending me another donation today. Thanks, bro. I really appreciate that. So if anybody wants to send donations through to the VinnyEastwoodshow.com, that would be really nice. We had a pauper's Valentine's Day yesterday. And there's this $50 cables for my new camera that we need to get up. And folks have got this mad new camera. It's huge, right? And I'm just working out the kinks with it. Can't get it to connect to the computer. Can't get it to do this, that, or the other. It's just taking weeks and weeks just to sort out how to use the bastard. Because normally I'm using a camera like this. Okay, just a little tiny MP4 camera. And, you know, she shoots in 1080 and she's got a beautiful little microphone slot and everything like that. So I get crystal clear digital sound from these things. However, the new camera is a cinema quality one with 4K capability. All right, and it shoots like a 35mm. So it's like having a movie camera, like a proper. It's huge, man. And it's got so many options and stuff like that, that going from this, with those buttons on the back of it there, to like a gargantuan frickin' beast of a thing is actually quite a stressful learning curve for me. So we're going to be doing some videos in 4K, ladies and gentlemen. 4K! It's going to be cool. Make some nice documentaries, get some beautiful short films and things out there. Speaking of which, I just want to toot my own trumpet for just a second here. Because we entered the 48-hour film competition last year, and this is our film here, Deadline. If you search Vinny Eastwood Deadline, in fact, I might be able to put the link in the description for you. But if you have a look at the most viewed page here in the 48-hour screening room, we're number one. Yeah, boy, the number one most viewed short film of the 2017 48-hour film competition. Okay, we made that movie in 48 hours, and it's bloody hilarious. But anyway, back to the articles and BS. You can watch that video on my homepage there. It's on the VinnyEastwoodshow.com. There we are. It's right down the side here. And I do want to make sure that we nail this TPPA, you know, like to the wall, and just go like, nah, bro, we don't like it. See, there it is, Deadline, Team Infectious Films. So you can go watch that on the homepage there. Also, for any of you who are in New Zealand, the Info Reset seminars are coming here. So we've got John Perkins, the economic hitman, Conchita Sarnoff. She's a expert on international human trafficking, and Sean Stone, who is Oliver Stone's son. Now, I'm interviewing John Perkins within the next couple of hours. I got him on at 11 a.m. Current time is 8:14 a.m. So, yeah, that's going to be good, interviewing him today. That'll be off air. I think I'll upload the video for that later for you. And if you do want to go see them, that's in March, the 25th of March, I'm getting given a bunch of tickets to sell. And we're going to give you a discount, ladies and gentlemen, just because, you know, you're getting them through me. And that's just really the only way that they can afford to pay me. You know, there's very little money in truth. However, the deal is far from the gold standard initially promised by John Key. Anything that's promised by John Key, run away from it. Don't walk, run. Okay? Catherine O'Connell, nice to see you here. Especially for dairy and meat, the gains for farmers are small, and there is virtually no benefit for higher value processed exports and manufactured products. Okay, let me just give you an example of how our current trade works. In New Zealand, you know, there's grades of meat. Okay, for example, you got A grade meat, you know, the beautiful stuff. The B grade meat, the really nice stuff. And then there's the C grade meat. It's all right. Now, all of New Zealand's A grade and B grade meat gets exported. All of it. You can only buy C grade meat in New Zealand things, right? And it's more expensive than it is to buy overseas. In New Zealand, we're now paying $7 for a block of butter. $7 for a block of butter. I will say that again, $7 for a block of butter. In a country that its largest company is in fact a dairy making company. And guess what happens to all of our A grade, butter and milk products and stuff like that? They go overseas and they can buy it cheaper than we can. That's how trade works, ladies and gentlemen. You enter into a deal and you get screwed by the international community. Sound fair? That's how it happens. The reduced tariffs under TPP 11 would be phased in over 15 years. So what they do is they have the totalitarian tiptoe. Oh no, don't worry, you won't be a slave right away. You'll only be slightly more slave-like, and then a little bit more slave-like, and a little bit more slave-like, and then you'll be a slave. Isn't that lovely? It's incrementalism, folks. They don't want to give away the goat, as it were, all of a sudden. They want to make sure that you are wanting to stay enslaved through looking at these perceived carrot and stick benefits. Using the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade estimates, TPP 11 would result in a tariff reductions in the supply chain of $222 million per year by 2034. This is 1.1% of New Zealand's annual agricultural exports. Farmers will get some of those reductions, but overseas processors, importers and retailers will also grab a significant share. You see what I'm saying now? It's precisely the exact same thing that's already happened. It's already happened to New Zealand milk and meat, and now it's going to get even worse. Okay, that's what this means. Now, the scale of these tariff reductions is not sufficient to stimulate new investment. They are far less in percentage terms than average monthly changes in foreign exchange rates and fluctuations in milk powder prices at each global dairy trade auction. Optimum Performance, you gave me a donation. Thanks, bro. I really appreciate that. That is really awesome, actually. This is the first live donation I've actually ever had, bro. Thank you, man. Awesome. And I do need that, actually, because, I don't like being broke. I don't know if I've told you this, ladies and gentlemen, but the truth doesn't pay well, and often you have to struggle through life, and I don't like doing it anymore. I simply don't like struggling through life anymore. And so, I've decided to do some work and make sure that there's little gigs and things like that I'm performing, like what was it called? The International Holistic Cancer Symposium. Alright, so I'm being paid to film that in March as well, so that's going to be good. Just looking at the benefits, TPP 11 would increase GDP growth by about 0.2% of GDP growth in 15 years' time. That seems like something that's within the margin of error. Using the US International Trade Commission's modelling assumptions rather than the speculative assumptions used in modelling commissioned by MFAT. This compares with an increase of 47% without TPP 11, New Zealand Treasury projections. An extra 0.2% GDP growth by 2034 is insignificant, and as I said, within the margin of error. So they'll just tell you that and won't provide any evidence that their projections are even going to make any difference. Right now, the likelihood is it's actually going to run us down massively. Okay, it'll destroy the economy. It'll enslave its people. Right? It'll make sure that we can't do anything that would be perceived as independent. There are also risks and costs from signing Some of the most obvious disadvantages of the TPP have been removed in recent negotiations, such as extended copyright and longer protection for some medicines, but most of the original TPP remains intact. Only 22 out of more than 1,000 provisions have been suspended. This is not about trade, ladies and gentlemen. This has almost nothing to do with trade. So if anybody tells you that this is a trade deal, they are lying to you. And whether or not they are telling those lies deliberately because they stand to benefit out of it, or whether or not they're just a fuckwit. Now, TPP 11 would override important aspects of our sovereignty. Absolutely right, Barry. The right of foreign investors to sue governments under ISDS, the ISDS. You know, I'm in Auckland, I live on an isthmus, and now I'm talking about the ISDS. It's a really lame joke, funny. Remains in the TPP 11, even though the scope for cases over government contracts has been reduced. Yeah, reduced, but there's no specifics on that. No. What? Specifics! This still covers discrete... Oh, no, not discrete. Direct investment, shares, mortgages and bonds. We'll be the one in the bonds. Intellectual property, concessions, licenses, permits and other assets. Okay, so that means that any government business that you can currently do, if you do it in a way that doesn't benefit foreign corporations in the future, they can sue you for lost profits that they never even made, and they can sue you for the continuation of those lost profits until the end of time, or until your country runs out of money, or until your country runs out of strategic assets that the foreign corporations want. Right? We should not allow foreign corporations to bypass our courts and sue our government in an international tribunal. Why not? It's full-on globalism. Isn't that what the Greens want? Even the threat of litigation is enough to chill government laws. And I find that ironic as well, the chill factor, considering we're talking about a whole bunch of people who are just really, really uppity about climate change legislation, and you want that to be charged as an international level and give everybody fines for their carbon sins and whatnot. This is the green agenda. And yet for some reason, you've got individuals here who aren't even party members anymore, and I wonder why that is, now getting the opportunity to tell everybody in mainstream media how bad these things are. Okay? Two sides seemingly to work against each other that are actually really working together. Okay? That's how they scam people over long periods of time without people working out that there's a scam. Okay? As we saw in the attempt by Philip Morris to sue the Australian government over plain packaging of cigarettes. As I mentioned earlier in the piece, that's cost them like $50 million and counting. Okay? They wanted plain packaging on cigarettes. The international corporation said, nah, bro. And so now Australia has to pay them for perceived lost profits. Not even lost profits. Perceived lost profits. Oh, I perceive I've lost a profit. Give me money. Perception's reality. There are other problems. TPP 11 increases the threshold for screening foreign investment from 100 million to 200 million, allowing an accelerated sell-off of New Zealand assets. Wait a second. So that means you could just buy 100 million. See, again, it's difficult to determine context with these things, isn't it? Because I'm getting into my whole I don't care anymore sort of thing, what these people have to say. And it's ironic me actually reading out the articles whilst I don't give a f what they've got to say, because I understand that it's not in context, it hasn't been given any meaning for people, it doesn't actually do what journalism does. Right. Our government would not be allowed to require the storage of sensitive data in New Zealand, raising privacy concerns. An international surveillance grid. Where have I heard that before? You know? TPP 11 would lock in financial liberalisation. Liberalisation. For some reason, I don't know what that actually means. Ignoring the lessons from the global financial crisis. and give foreign investors preferential rights to recover their funds in case of financial crises. So basically, not only will we be totally beholden to the foreign investment markets and things like that, and ours will be completely subservient to it, but we won't even have our own safe data stored here, and if there is some kind of financial crisis, we bail out the international corporations before our own. Does that make a whole bunch of sense now? If the goal is not trade, but global government? Global government by international corporations that are all owned by the international banks who make money up out of thin air by government mandate. The governments and the corporations working together. Communism, fascism, working together. Do you understand how that works? We live in an era of change. No, we don't. Every moment in the existence of the human race has been an era of change. The difficulty being that people don't see where that change is going. They don't know that there's been a plan in place for like over 100 years of how to enslave the globe, slowly but surely. Future governments will need flexibility to address market failings, including rising inequality and climate change. See, there you go, there's the green agenda. The economy linked inextricably to climate change. And that's where the UN and the international bankers are going to take over from the corporations. So basically what they're going to do is the bankers are financing both the UN and the corporations. Okay? So what they'll do is they'll tell everybody through their owned media that it is in fact the corporations that are to blame for climate change and the people that are to blame for climate change, and only by a merging of corporations and global government can we save everybody from climate change. Right? Now, I'm not a scientist, but I know that the climate has been changing for about 4 billion years. And I know that throughout history, humanity hasn't tried anything to try and change that, because there's this thing called the sun that is like billions of times larger than human beings that affects global weather. All right. And other planets heating up, right? And now, according to NASA, we're going into some kind of a cooling trend. So it's lucky that they picked the term climate change and moved away from global warming, isn't it? Because that way, it doesn't matter what the climate does. It's changing. Change is the only constant of the universe. And this guy thinks we only now live in a current era of change. New laws will need to respond to disruptions from technology, markets, and society's expectations, and ensure multinational corporations pay taxes and compete fairly. Now, if you don't take into account that these corporations own the governments, okay, make no mistake, if you have giant corporations in your country, they own your country. They own your politicians. Simple as that. And they've got you by the short and curlies. And they don't pay any taxes. It's because they own the government. Why would somebody who owns a government pay money to somebody who they already own? They wouldn't. And sure enough, they don't. We should not be locked into deregulatory trade agreements. It is time our international treaties support a well-regulated economy built on principles of fairness, sustainability, and democracy. Barry Coates is an economist, previous head of Oxfam New Zealand, and former Green Party MP. Alright, that's about wraps it up for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for stopping by, and thank you Optimum Performance for giving me that donation, but I really appreciate that. Now, also, that Q is Hillary. No, I don't know what Q is Hillary. They own your registered name, your soul is attached. Yep, that's absolutely right. So I need to actually change the name on this thing. So what was I doing? What was I talking about, ladies and gentlemen? You know, help me out here. It's live stream 6. The TPP 11 and the agenda to enslave humanity. There we go. That sounds about right, folks. Articles covered. Let me go. Oh, man. Where's the history there? There we go. Very nice. And we'll pop that in there. And I think that's about all she wrote. Very nice. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. And if you could go to the VinnieEastwoodShow.com. That's Vinnie with a Y, because it's the most important question. And Eastwood, go ahead, make my news. You can give us a share, tweets and likes and what have you here. There are a bunch of different articles and things like that here that you can roll through. Just bazillions of stuff that I've done over the years, and it's all good stuff. Nice and fun to listen to. And of course, please subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much. It's been a very good live stream, ladies and gentlemen. I very much appreciate you all coming out and at such short notice, you know. All right, guys. Have a very lovely day. How do I stop the streaming here? There we go. Bye-bye.